The national capital providing a bit of capital punishment for the bowlers, particularly the spinners from South Africa, who surprised us by including both Keshav Maharaj and Tabraiz Shamsi. They went for a few, and of course it was intent from the very start from Team India. 13 runs in the opening over, didn't let up, and finished up with 211 for 4, led by Ishan Kishan 76, and everyone else contributing at a very healthy strike rate. Shreyas Iyer, Hardik Pandya, and of course Captain Rishabh Pant. Yeah, we are trying to assess India's halfway point total. Is it above par? If so, how much above par? I'll let the gentlemen in our panel on Cricbuzz Live answer that. Joy Bhattacharjya, Zaheer Khan. First impression, Zaheer. Of course, we won't talk about any of our predictions. We were actually thinking of going low after that first couple of balls. But what do you look at? How do you assess this total, the way you've seen it so far?
Well, I think it's way above par. When you look at that kind of a wicket, the way they started, it's just about adapting to the conditions, understanding, what conditions have to offer. And looking at the first innings and the way South African bowlers have gone about executing their plans or understanding the conditions, there was a complete mismatch, I felt. Yes, you have to give credit to the Indian batting lineup that, on this kind of a surface, they've managed 200 plus total, even though the boundaries and the dimensions of the ground and, what are the factors you take into consideration. When pitch is offering you something, you got to work with that. You got to take those things along with you and make the maximum impact. I think South African bowlers failed to do that. Credit to the Indian batters that they could have a plan on this sort of surface. On this kind of a surface, you got to be attacking with the new ball, because as the ball got older, you saw that bowlers were getting more and more out of the pitch. So the Indian batters did very well there. Use their feet, use the depth of the crease, and when you look at the South African bowling lineup and their numbers, it's not one bowler who you can pick saying that he did the right thing, which is going to create that impact on this track. Also, spinners bowling only 5 overs between them is another suggestive fact of how ineffective they were, or how they failed to understand how to bowl on this kind of a pitch. You got to not only put revs on the ball, but you got to get the ball in the right area and look to really extract a lot more spin out of the track. I think that's something which Indian batters they've been put under pressure. The South African bowlers did have answers to that. They were going by the format. When a wicket is like this, you got to just stick to the basics and just take all the help what wicket has to offer for you as a bowler, which South African bowlers fail. So I think it's a combination of that. The strong batting lineup, understanding the conditions, having a plan to play on this sort of a pitch, to a bowling lineup which is not really understanding, or the plans going out of the window, or looking to play the format rather than the conditions.
Yeah, look at all those scores down there. Only Dinesh Karthik didn't get enough deliveries to show his wares. Otherwise, everybody got off to a start, contributed, and got India over 200. Something briefly that I discussed with Joy on Cricbuzz Combox was when to use which bowler. As Zaheer mentioned, Joy, you've had 2 specialist spinners, and if they're in the team, you're expecting them to bowl 8 overs pretty much, unless something goes horribly wrong. But the other thing is, at what stage were they bowling? They were serving it up on a platter for Shreyas Iyer when he should have been getting some chin music.
Absolutely. There are 2-3 things out here. Your 5 overs of spinners, which are you were saying that whatever happens, the spinners will bowl 8, maybe 10. If Markram was there, maybe 10 overs of spin. And you've got 5 overs of spin out here, which has gone for 70 runs. Even in this carnage, 14 runs an over is even much above par even there. And what has happened? You've had one situation where Keshav Maharaj is bowling right into Ishan Kishan's arc, and he's just going to keep backing it all the time. And similarly, Shreyas Iyer went and attacked early. And the fact of the matter is, the Indians did really well. There was a plan not to allow the spinners to settle. They went after the spinners, and look at that. You rarely see that 1 to 6 has been exceeded in 7 to 10. But that's where the spinners were being attacked by both Shreyas Iyer and then when he came in as well, and Ishan Kishan when he was batting as well. So I think that is the one thing that the Indians did very well. They didn't allow the spinners to settle. But if you're going to bowl an off spinner just when Ishan Kishan is in form, and you're going to bowl an off spinner, and he's bowling from over the wicket instead of going to round the wicket and trying to even at least cramp up the batsman in the beginning. So he gets 2 freebies, he hits them for 2 sixes. After that, how much are you going to stop? And I thought Nokia bowled one very bad over, but I think the rest of his overs were comparatively decent. A lot of luck also went the Indian way, but the way the Indians played their luck, they rode it well. And I think,
Yeah.
as I agree with Zach, they're about 45 over par. They were amazing.
Yeah, I mean, Ishan Kishan, I think, is someone we need to focus on, not just because he was the top scorer, but he was the one who showed intent from the beginning. Ruturaj Gaikwad maybe a little bit circumspect at the other end, but Ishan Kishan certainly showed. I mean, there was KL Rahul missing, Rohit Sharma missing, no Virat Kohli in the side, and you knew that despite not having the best IPL in the world, Zaheer, this was a chance to show that this is the Ishan Kishan you all remember.
Absolutely, I think, and today's conditions, when you look at it, it's a bowler friendly condition, bowler friendly pitch. On this track to come up with this sort of a batting performance is commendable. And not only just Ishan Kishan, you look at all the batters who batted today. I think they've done a phenomenal job. And I'm saying so because the conditions, you just look at the conditions and then try and judge an innings. So to be able to put bowlers under pressure and get these kind of runs, the credit has to go to the planning as well, the approach as well, and the mindset with which you are batting. It is not a wicket where you just go walk in and start hitting the ball. You got to get your eye in. You have to understand the two pace nature of the wicket. You've seen some balls keeping low. Some balls are jumping. You've seen one ball of Rabada to Shreyas Iyer also, which jumped. So it's not a easy wicket for a batter to just walk in and start hitting, and that's why it's commendable that Indian team has managed to get to a total which is way above par on this track.
Yeah, I think what Zaheer described, Joy, in the last 20 seconds, of course, it's talking about the whole Indian team, but I think specifically it applies to Ishan Kishan because he's the kind of person who might come out swinging from ball one. But look at these numbers. This is Ishan Kishan playing the surface. This is Ishan Kishan playing smart.
Yeah, playing smart. And look, he was struggling in the beginning. I mean, he was really finding it difficult to time the ball. The pitch wasn't helping. I think the great maturity that I saw from Ishan here is that he played that period out and he said, okay, the spinners will come. And the moment the off spinner came, he took his toll. He really, really picked his spot and said that I'm going to whack him out of the attack. And he, of course, you can turn on and look at that the bowling scheme and look at it and say that you had 6 bowlers, South Africa. You could have played this a bit better. But leave that aside. I loved the way all the Indian batters batted. Look at Shreyas Iyer as well. Okay, Shreyas Iyer, actually, if you look at him, he scored 24 of the first 10 balls. He's actually slowed down after that. On the remaining 17 balls, he's just got 12 runs. But those 24 balls just basically he just smashed the spinners out of the attack. He smashed their top spinner, Shamsi, out of the attack. And what he did there was set up a base in a situation where after that, they can't bowl the spinners. Now 16, 17 overs, now they're scared of bowling the spinners. And I think that is what I really found commendable about the Indian team. Everyone knew a role and said, don't allow them to settle. And the moment the left-hander went out, the left-hander came in, right-hander went out, Hardik came in. They knew what they were doing. And I think it's such a word that we never like to use, executing plans, but they batted so beautifully.
And after that, we mentioned the captain and vice captain who would be trying to see who bats at 4, who bats at 5. It was a simple formula. Left-hander goes out, left-hander comes in, which is what happened with Rishabh Pant. Hardik Pandya joined him, Zaheer, and then the partnership, 60 of 28, really picked up because, if anything, there was just a small period where, as Joy said, Shreyas Iyer had slowed down a bit, so they needed to up the ante again if they had to get to this kind of total.
I think if you have to describe in one word the whole batting scorecard today, it's just dominance. What we've seen today is just the sheer dominance of this batting lineup in all the phases. How often you see the number 7 over to number 10 over, that kind of a strike rate, that kind of run rate. The back 10, back 4 overs was just a formality. You knew that the runs are going to flow. But I think the sheer dominance through and through, the power play, the next phase after that, the phase after that, understanding and setting that platform, and that's why Ishan Kishan's innings is also of great importance. But when you look at that batting scorecard, it's just sheer dominance.
In fact, I'd like to go a step further. At some point, we've got an excellent back end team, Joy. I'd love to find out, since Zaheer has pointed this out, and I think it's very significant, how many innings we can think of either in franchise cricket or international cricket where over 7 to 10 have been the most productive of all. That phase, 12.75, has far exceeded anything else. And the team's also got to this kind of total.
Yeah, I think you should check it out because, again, that's what I'm saying. There is a plan. There is a thought process. There is a plan. I mean, Shreyas Iyer will not dance down that early unless he's been told, this is your job. Your job is to attack the spinner right up front. And he's been told that this is his job and he did it. And if you notice, I mean, there was once we discussed it in that com box that he danced down and he knew he wasn't reaching it, but he converted the shot. And I think that is what I really like. See, a lot of T20 cricket is about execution, sad to use that word again, and intent. And I think intent was fantastic because they said that I almost felt as if they told themselves that if we try and play this pitch, it's too much, you're going to make a mistake sometime or the other because this pitch is a treacherous pitch. So when you have the ball to hit the ball, create balls to hit because you are going to get an unplayable ball once in a while, which is what happened even in the first over. I mean, the way the ball suddenly kept down or the way it turned or the way Rabada's ball jumped as Zaheer was talking about it. So anything can happen in this pitch. You must, when you have the opportunity scored, do not wait to settle in to score because it's not going to happen in this pitch.
Well, do South Africa have the personnel? Remember a few years ago, you might have thought of a South Africa with Faf du Plessis, AB de Villiers, more recently Aiden Markram, who's been in form, understands the conditions. Add all that up, you could be thinking of a South African team probably making short work of any kind of total. But other than Quinton de Kock, Zaheer, are you really seeing anyone that would scare the opposition? Okay, I'd say David Miller. So Quinton de Kock, David Miller, how much do they hold the key to this chase?
Those are the things which you have to look at. Having said that, it's not going to be easy ask because I know for the fact that once a set batter is out, for the next batter who is walking in, it's not going to be easy. As a bowling group, if you're just getting the ball in the right areas on this track, it's never going to be easy for any batter. And you can't really say that a batter is set on this kind of a surface. So I think the first 10-12 overs, Indian bowlers are really going to make it very difficult for South African batters on this track. And like I said, it wasn't a bad toss to lose. It wasn't a bad day on this Delhi surface to bat first. If dew is not a factor, it's not going to get easy. The uneven nature of the wicket is actually going to be exaggerated in the second innings, and we'll have to just wait and see how it pans out.
So in terms of predictions, given that we were all way off the mark, Joy, and it's significant, the reason is not just to make up for our predictions, but to try and see what South Africa's approach could possibly be. Power play, are you feeling that this 1 to 6 is likely to be the most powerful phase if they are to go close to this total? And if so, how many?
Look, my point is that's the point. Quinton is not the kind of player who likes to go whack it from ball one. He likes to, take a few of these things. If he gets a ball in his slot, he'll hit it. But he's not going to bat out of his crease and make things stress. So that's my point. Who here is going to take the risks in the South African batting, like Shreyas did for India, like Ishan Kishan did for India? And I think if both sides are going to bat to sort of stay in, then it's not going to work. So my feeling is that one of these guys really has to go for it. And I'd be interested in seeing who is putting their hand up here. Because for me, otherwise, this is a 45-6 kind of innings. And I don't think that is surprise.
Fair, 45-46. Zahir, you have a number for South Africa in the power play?
Well, I think
they like about 80, but that's different.
The wickets also going to be key. So they mustn't lose a wicket in the power play. That's the condition one. I think when you looking at the chase, and second is they need at least 55 to 60 runs. Then you can see maybe the phase where Indian dominance was seen from 7 to 10. They'll have to create something because that's the time you're going to have spinners bowling in tandem. So even if you get that many runs in the power play, it's going to be a really, really uphill task from over number 7 till about 13, 14, to really continue with the kind of run rate which is going to be required for them to achieve this run chase.
All right, so 55-ish is what Zaheer says. 45-ish is where Joy is sitting. 39-ish is what I'm thinking at the moment, because it just looks as if it's going to be a bit of dominance from India's bowlers. There's been a bit of a close shave for Temba Bavuma in the first over. It didn't look like he knew what he was doing with the ball. It went to the boundary, but pretty much just like what happened with Keshav Maharaj in his first over, except this was Bhuvi moving the ball a bit. Seems to be all India at the moment. We'll see where things stand at the 10-over mark. But for the moment, the home side, firm favourites to go one up in this 5-match series. We'll see you all in the 10th over on Cricbuzz Combox, and we'll wrap it all up for match number 1 at the end on Cricbuzz Live.